Hey, 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 it is Charlotte and Daryl in the house.
Yes, it is.
It is time for what? Welcome to the Truth for Daily Living podcast. And we have another guest that is waiting for you in the studio. So we'll be right back and we'll be bringing him right on, okay? All righty, let's bring on our guest for this podcast. We have in the house Mr. Ronnie Miles. Woohoo! Hey. It is the Bakers again. Well, welcome to Truth for Daily Living podcast, where we desire to provide you with information from different guests that some we know, some are new, but this young man we know.
Yes, we do.
And we know quite a bit about him, but we're going to get it started and let him tell you a little bit about himself in just a moment. We just want to remind you of our previous podcast that we had, Receiving the Promise in God's Timing. So that's going to be loading tomorrow. If you're looking at this, the week of, what week is this? August. Today is August 24th. So that episode is going to be loading. So make sure you go to our website or go to our podcast, which we're streaming through YouTube, and you'll see that one dropping. Okay, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So make sure you go to our YouTube channel and check that out. And as we're beginning this, remember to comment, like, subscribe to this channel for our podcast on YouTube so that you can stay abreast of what we're doing. So with all that preliminary stuff out of the way, now we're going to again introduce Mr. Ronnie Miles. And first question, we're going to say, introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Hey everyone, my name is Ronnie Miles. As I was so eloquently introduced to you, I am a professional artist. First of all, I'm a child of God. Let's start there. So, but I'm a professional artist, and I also own a printing company that prints apparel. So I am in Atlanta, Georgia, on the south side of the Atlanta area, and I am excited to see what God has to say to all of us tonight.
So our topic tonight, we wanted to call it Discovering the Real You. And I know you're going to be able to tell us something about that topic, right? Absolutely. So you really jumped in, you told us about who you are, but one of the questions we wanted to ask, this is a general question, but I know you can answer it. Does everyone have a purpose? Because we're talking about discovering the real you. And I'm sure over the years you've been living, you're a young man, you have discovered some things. So do you think that everyone has a real purpose?
Absolutely. I believe that with all my heart. Just knowing the God that we serve and all that He's created, everything has a purpose, even down to the ants that I can't seem to get out of my car. They will bug you and bite you, but they also serve a purpose. So God is a God. So to answer that in short, absolutely, everything and everyone has a purpose. For sure.
So how important would you say it is for people to pursue that? You know, sometimes we've discovered, even personally, that we see people that maybe are disgruntled, they're unhappy with their life. And when you some of the people we've talked to, we find out and say, well, are you really doing what you were created to do? Because we really believe, I wrote a whole book about it called Destiny Takes Time, that you have to figure out, like I asked you, who you are, and then go and do that. So how important is it, again, for people to really press into, trying to not only discover who they are, but execute it?
Yeah, it's extremely important. One thing that kind of jumped out at me while you were speaking is that from my personal experience, what I've learned is your talent may not always be your purpose or the lane that you're in. And sometimes that takes a while for you to understand that, because, of course, God has given us all gifts and talents. And it can be a situation that kind of, it can take some time for you to actually come to that understanding. So what I've done in order to try to, I guess, not be frustrated in trying to make a talent become part of my purpose is, a lot of times it's like hitting your head against the wall, you know, and especially if you're a Christian, you know, you really have to lean into what God would have you to be doing. And sometimes, because again, we have these certain inklings or gifts, we think that that's the lane because it's easy for me to do. You know, like with my artwork, it's easy for me to draw, and then the finished product is, it's actually pleasant to look at, and I'm good at it, and of course it can generate an income for me, right? So it's easy for me to start sliding in that direction. But what I found is, I never imagined having an apparel printing company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once we dial it back and just say, okay, God, I may not be doing what I think I'm gifted at, or what I'm good at. However, when I lean into you, that's when you open up other doors, and people can't be so narrow-minded and laser focused on something just because they're good at it. It reminds me of a sermon that Dr. Mary preached about when the fishermen were out fishing all night, right? She made a point that they are professional fishermen, and that's what they're good at. However, just because you're good at it, as I said a minute ago, doesn't necessarily mean that that's where your blessing is gonna, or your purpose is gonna come in. That might be something that you can do. But so that would be my advice to anybody that's kind of frustrated, as you said, is that be open to whatever God sends your way, or whatever lanes he opens. Be willing to change. You know, so often we get complacent, and that can bring a lot of pain. You know, if it's just like a stiff joint, or, you know, if you sit down too long, you get stiff. You get stuck in that position. And then when you try to get up to move, it actually can be a little uncomfortable move, but we got to move. And we've seen God, he's done that to everyone since the beginning of time. It's like, you got to move, you know. So,
yeah.
That would be my counsel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You said a mouthful there, sir, in reference to your gift, and then recognizing what the purpose is. And I'm sure that it had to be frustrating, but also it had to be a wake-up call for you. And then now, you know, what you have been doing, because you gifted, and this guy right here is very gifted in drawing. I mean, he is so detailed in whatever he put his mind to do. He can pull just the smallest things and make it pop in the painting, right? And so and that requires time, but it also requires you to have a mind that gives attention to small details, right? And so you've been doing that for a number of years, and thinking that was going to be your way out, perhaps, or thinking that was going to be the way that God was going to supernaturally manifest his financial blessing in your life. But now there was a wake-up call, but this is maybe not the track, but now there's another track that I've already scheduled for you at this season and time. Now, I know that there had to be a transitional mindset, and you probably have gone through some situations where the frustration of holding on to what you thought was the blessing, now you have to embrace something else that you're not necessarily sure, but you recognize that this is the track now. Okay, so how was that transition, for you? And then how long did it take you to embrace the new track compared to what you have been accustomed to?
I don't want to give away my age. Let's put it this way. Y'all is great, and I'm just now getting it. So, it's like, here's the thing, guys. though God may shift you in another lane that, that really pushes you closer to your purpose or to your God-given purpose, what you're good at is still relative, right? So what I've done or what I'm currently doing, which I'm starting to flow in, my art experience is relative to that, right? Just like the fishermen, right? They're professional fishermen, and even though that night that the Bible speaks about, they weren't having success, it's still, their experience was still relative to when they actually began to actually catch fish, right? So it's not like Jesus said, okay, well, you guys aren't catching anything, get out the boat, let's go over here and shoot dice or play basketball. So what you're good at, what your gift is still relative. It just may not be the way that God wants you to get there. And again, it took me a long time to get that. And my success has started to flow based on the fact that I'm just praising God all throughout the day. And praise does not necessarily have to be this, jumping around, hooping and hollering, right? So, but in my heart, I'm just appreciating God when I'm looking out the window, or when I go to check the mail, or I'm listening to a TV program, and I'm just caught up in who He is, and He's slowly merging what I am good at into another lane of this printing company, right? So, but what He blesses us with does not negate what you're good at, even if it's off kilter. So I would say that you definitely have to be willing to make that transition, and don't push so hard in where you think you should be or what you think you should be doing, right? But just dial it back, scale it back a little bit, just say, okay, Lord, look, this is what I've been trying to do, especially if it's not working. I've got 40 plus years of frustration, right? Because I've always been good at doing my artwork. So quite naturally, I'm going to think that this is the way to go because He gifted me with this gift, and it's easy for me. But God has other plans. So I would just say to anybody listening, please just be willing to lean into God and take your foot off the gas on what you think you should be doing, because the public will tell you what you should be doing based on what you're good at as well. See, I've heard that all my life, right? I've heard, oh man, you don't have your own studio. Do you have a gallery somewhere? You should be rich by now. And did so-and-so celebrity see this piece of artwork? Man, I bet you're doing this, you're doing that. And all of that will kind of keep you saying, yeah, I should be. Yeah, you're right. And God is like, that's not it, right? Now that can come in later on, but God may want to show you something else. So just be willing to listen and change.
That's an interesting perspective. So if I didn't say already, you're very multi-talented. Singer, we used to sing together. You paint, very multi-talented guy. Now, in the process of getting to that revelation, was there ever a time before you really discovered what you could do that you felt you were missing something? So I remember in my 20s, I was in a job that was going nowhere. And I was saying, life has to offer more than this. And I felt like I was missing something. I felt like I wasn't doing what I was created to do, even though I didn't know what that was yet. So have you ever had that experience on this journey of discovering that even though you're talented and you're gifted, but was there a time before all that you felt like I'm not really utilizing myself the way I should? Did you ever have that moment in life?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's part of the growth process. That can also be a frustration to you. I've felt that way on several occasions. Like, okay, am I not doing something right? Am I not praising enough? Am I not doing a lot of the God things? I believe it was Max Lucado or one of the popular Christian authors. He wrote a book called Shattered Dreams.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
a while back, right? Mm-hmm. And but that basically was that. And we oftentimes get caught up into deeds and works because we live in this physical world, we feel like, okay, in order to get something that I need, I have to physically do something, right? So if I'm thirsty, I can't just sit here and hope that a glass of water will come and park itself on my desk. I have to physically get up and go get it. So our bodies in the natural, we're trained to have to try to do something to get something. And with God, I always tell people, God is the polar opposite of everything on this planet. I don't know one thing that God agrees with humanity on. Right? He even said that to be a friend of the world is makes you an enemy or enmity towards God. So it's like we have to get to a place where we realize that our physical doings, and again, that's evident in the fisherman's story, right? Mm-hmm. They were professionals. They did all they knew how to do. They cast their nets all night long. But at the word of Jesus is when it changed. It all changed. Because, see, our logic would have said, okay, look, yeah, Messiah, we hear you, but we're professionals. We've been doing this all night, all of our lives, or all night long. Mm-hmm. And what sense would it make for me it's a boat. I mean, certainly there's not a wall under the boat. So what's the difference in a net on this side versus us putting it on this side, right? And that was such a powerful sermon that Dr. Mary preached. It just hit me a different way. Mm-hmm. And that it's really not about what you're doing. It's not about your gifting. It's not about your talent, about your ability, about your experience, mm-hmm. about your resume. It's not about any of that stuff. It's at the word of Jesus. Are you in compliance, or are you willing to listen to him and allow him to tell you, even though it's simple? He defies logic anyway. Who can hang the stars? What are mm-hmm. they hanging on? Or the moon or the sun, right? Mm-hmm. So everything we see it defies logic. So we have to get ourselves in a space where we're like, okay, God, even though it doesn't make sense, mm-hmm. I'm going to cast my net on the other side. Basically, I'm going to listen to you. Right, so that to me is more important than anything, and that's where I think the scripture makes sense, where it says obedience is better than sacrifice. Yes. Basically, if you listen to what I'm telling you, then things can work out, but you have to be coachable, and you gotta come out of self.
And it's about timing. So even in that scenario, they have been, like you said, fishing and catching nothing. But when Jesus came and said, do it now, it was his timing.
That's right.
And so I think a lot of times we can get off there because, first of all, if you don't start at the very beginning, first of all, realizing that you were born with a purpose. And I go back to that because a lot of people I've met over my lifetime, because I'm not going to tell my age either. They don't even think in that context of, okay, I was just born because my mom and dad got together. No, babe, you were born. There's a purpose for your life, whether it's small or great. It should impact someone else besides yourself. So let's get that first step. Find out, start trying to figure out why you were born, what you were supposed to be doing, right? And then the execution will be the timing of God when it can be unleashed, for lack of a better term. And it may not be released, like you said, in the manner we originally thought. Now we can preach a whole sermon on that. Because for me personally, I have a lot of abilities I've discovered over the years. I'm a writer. I can put stuff together, administrate. I'm a creative myself. And so sometimes people like us, we definitely become highly frustrated because we're like, okay, I could do this, I could do this, and I could do this, but and I've done this, and I've done this, and I've done this, but it just seemed like things aren't working.
Right.
But it still comes back to, yes, God gave us these abilities and these talents, but it's all about how he wants to package it in his timing. And that's a lesson I had to learn about me.
And it's also about your level of maturity as well, because I believe there's a place that we have to come to in maturity to accept the responsibilities of what God has placed on the inside of us as well, right? and then allowing that to be made manifest and to play out also. Because the fact that, just like you said, that the world have told you that you should be an artist and you should have your own studio, you should do this, you should be rich, you should, and all of those years you saying yes. Why isn't it not happening, right? And so, and then now you have to mature in another area of accepting another level of responsibility that's associated and tied to your gifting and also to the talent. Now this is going to be the track now, and this is the road, that God is leading you on. But all of that other training and all of those other seasons and time, when you spend so much time, putting into your craft of your art now you're going to take that with you to another level. Now you're going to get more exposure because of the fact that you have a product that's being multi created, so it's going to touch many lives at this juncture, right? As opposed to a single life, for a portrait, so to speak. Right?
And sometimes God, I know for sure, He doesn't allow us to connect to things that we think will be naturally correct, because He knows if we go down that particular road, it's going to get us off track. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
So let's give an example, because I know you're talented. You don't have to give the names of the stars, but you created this beautiful portrait of a female. You actually gave it to them. You don't need to mention her name. You gave it to them, and they end up giving it back. How did that make you feel? I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, it was gorgeous. But explain.
Well, actually, I can tell you this. That's happened to NFL players. I've given it, and it's ended up back in my possession like a year or so later. With the current NBA best player, so-called, on the planet, just a few months ago, and even still, that it's like that time it was just verification. God was like, that's how you used to try to get the ball rolling in your life financially. But I'm just showing you that I don't want you connected in that world, right? And with those level or caliber of people, not in this way, And what you were just saying, Daryl, it's so true. As far as the timing is concerned and the level of maturity, right? It'd be just like a child, like that Liberty commercial with a little boy is driving his little mini car, right? And he may be good at it. I've seen viral videos of little kids. They just getting it in their little bitty car around the yard and all of that. They're very good at it, right? And they may say, okay, well, Daddy, let me drive your car, right? Same, because he's thinking in his mind, well, I'm good at driving my car, so now I want to step it up and drive Daddy's car. I want to be a big boy, And there's no way in the world, even though they're good at it with their car in the yard, there's no way in the world you as a parent is going to give your keys to them and say, okay, well, here, you can take Daddy's car and go ahead and go out there and do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that speaks to what you were saying, Brother Daryl, as far as a level of maturity. And it reminds me of when kids are too anxious and overzealous for something because they think they know what they're doing, right? And we're the same. We're God's children. It's the same principle. You can tell by how anxious they are that they're just not ready. They're not ready for what they're begging for. Whether it be money, whatever it is. You're not ready. Just your eagerness is showing me that you're not ready. We don't even have to go any deeper than that. You're too eager, right? So I'm not gonna give my 10-year-old keys to my car and tell him to go to the store. But once he matures, and I've watched his integrity. I've watched the way that he handles other things in his life around the house. Then I can say, okay, son, now you're 17 or whatever. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a numerical benchmark, but I see your maturity level. now I can go and surprise him and say, you know what? I've been watching you deal with this all this time. So now what I want you to do is, here's the keys to my car. And I want you to go to, here's my debit card. I want you to go to the bank. Oh, Dad, what are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. You know what? I can drive your car? Yeah. Because I know, I watched your integrity. So I know that you can handle it, right? Mm-hmm. Because all before then, you might have been too overzealous. Mm-hmm. And that just told me right there, you'll get out there, get in an accident, be cutting a fool, or you just wouldn't know how to handle what you think you know how to handle.
Right.
So maturity does play a part, and only the father knows that. The child does not know that. They think they know that. Mm-hmm. But only the father knows when it's time to start releasing those blessings. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What were you about to say? Go ahead.
I was going to roll it back because I'm really curious. We're really curious.
I was about to ask it. Go
what?
Ahead.
That question?
Go ahead.
How did you, again, multi-talented, how did you discover, like, you had a talent or ability, like, back in the day? How did you really figure that out? Were you just, like, playing around, doodling? What happened?
Pretty much doodling. I mean, my mom and dad, they both, could draw, even though they never really did it. But they had the ability to. And every time, my mom always reminds me that, when you're around 3 years old, we go to the doctor's office, I would always ask her for a piece of paper, or she'd give me a napkin, or just something to draw on. So it's pretty much always been there. And again, I guess because that's a gift, it's natural to presume that will be my lane, because when you take your eyes and you look into the world, there's other artists that are making a killing, that are making a living, that are able to support and buy the things that they need. And then you start doing the comparison. Well, my stuff kind of, my stuff looks better than theirs. I mean, I'm not arrogant in that way, but logic says that, okay, that looks kind of like a child drew it, and mine looks photorealistic, and they're a millionaire off of doing their stuff, or they're able to run a business that can support them, using their gifts. So, and that's another thing is that, again, because you have a talent or a gift, you start looking at the world, and when you take your eyes off of God, that can get you anxious. He said, be anxious for nothing, right? Mm-hmm. So that is the reason why, I think one of the reasons why he tells us that, because we have a tendency to try to keep up with the Joneses. That's where all these cliches come from. Mm-hmm. So it's just like sitting at a red light, and you're not paying attention, and then somebody scoots up, you automatically scoot up, and you hadn't even really raised your head up. Mm-hmm. It's almost impulsive for us to want to try to keep up with everybody else.
Yeah, we'll try to get ahead, right?
That's your lane. That's not your lane. I got other people I want you specifically to impact. I don't need you just because you're tall. I don't want you to be a basketball player. I made people for that. Right?
Yes.
And just because you can draw, I don't necessarily want LeBron James or somebody to have your artwork in their house. He already has artwork from somebody else.
Right.
I don't want you tied to the wrong thing. I got people I want you to impact that's right around in your part of town, that you can be a blessing to, that may not have the finances to do, or they need your design skills in order to help them get their business off the ground, and your impact can be greater. And again, that's why I always say that's what I've had to learn. It's been a hard truth, and it's taken some time, but it goes to what Daryl was just saying, maturity.
Yeah.
I've been frustrated so long by trying to make an obvious thing work that I'm just like, God, whatever. And as you stop picking, that's when he says, okay, my stuff is made perfect in your week. As soon as you stop trying to do it, that's when I can get in there and bless you.
Right. It's like when you say, I'm done with this, and he said, good, because now we can start.
And I wanted to bring that up because, and this part of the conversation. Yeah. I wanted to bring that up and ask, because we had another podcast. The title was The Importance of Imagination. And so when we're talking about you being multi-talented, there are many of us that are multi-talented. You have to start somewhere. So I was like you. I mean, even though you were younger, you started off, drawing and doodling, and then it just kind of morphed into this big thing. But some people don't start there. So that's why I brought that question here now, to help others understand. You may say, I wasn't a child. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Start now. If you think you have the ability to draw, whatever it is, start now. Writing, start now. Don't wait. If you're already an adult, you can't get that time back, but you can start where you are now.
That's right.
And some people have started later in life, and they've exploded because that was what they were supposed to do, whether they're writers, singers. I'm talking about a lot of artistic stuff, but it could be anything. People going back to school, but you have to start now, because you know what? You only get one life. I say that's simplistic, but some people don't get that. You have one life, and you have the opportunity. All you have is this moment, right? And what you do in this moment will project what you will do in the future. If you do nothing now, you get nothing later, right? So we want to encourage you, talking to this multi-talented man, that, it doesn't matter that you didn't start young. Start now. There are a lot of people, there are so many artistic people, and I think we probably need to do a podcast about artistic, and maybe have you on the panel for that if you're not too busy, to talk about how to really cultivate what you have and really make sure you're in tune with God about how it should be released. That is a process, but some people don't have that kind of coaching, if you will. They just say, well, I'm just going to just do this for me. But maybe they are supposed to do it for a particular, group of people or something. Maybe that is a part of their lifeline or livelihood. You never know. But you got to start, right? So you mentioned, go ahead.
No, I said absolutely. I agree.
Yes. So you're definitely in business. And I love the name of your website. OneBadArtist.com. And I think that truly describes, if you go to his website, you're going to see so many beautiful pieces. Oh my goodness. Like I said, I've seen a couple up close, at least one. And then he saw one up close, the one you talked about with the Messiah. And that was beautiful. But you've done such like 3-dimensional things. You've done, you've just done a lot. So check out his website, OneBadArtist.com. Yes. Mm-hmm. What else you want to ask this one bad artist?
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you now, are you married?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Absolutely.
And how long have you been married?
That's a trick question.
Okay.
You better give us a roundabout, because she see this video, she gonna be like, hold on, wait a minute.
No. It's been a couple of years.
Okay, good, great.
And are you guys working together and you're doing business together, or how is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that, of course, and it's not because I wanted to do everything myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But creatively, it would take a lot out of me just to create the product, whatever it is, whether it be apparel, artwork, doing children's books, and so forth. So she came in and actually kicked in and started putting together the admin side, because she came out of corporate America, and that was more of her lane. And as soon as we agreed to actually work together, she was out of work or a corporate job, and so was I. But we weren't missing anything, right? So as soon as we said, she spent a lot of time applying, and nothing would happen. I said, babe, look, why don't you let's work together on this, because it's like I said, I'm in the back creating, right? So she was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna jump in and I'll do this, and I'll set up the Excel and the invoices and send them out to people and do this and that. And as soon as we did that, God just slowly started this. See, here comes the apparel company, right? Here comes the business side of it. That I was so glad that God began to open up those doors, because I didn't realize how taxed I was when I was on the creative side,
Mm-hmm.
and how much more I was missing doing the admin side
Mhm.
until
Right.
she did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that just became a blessing. So it allowed us to go in and say, hey, now let's go to the bank. Let's go open up this business account. Let's do this. Let's get the business credit card, the business debit card. Get you one, get me one. And start doing it the legitimate and the right way. Get registered at the Secretary of State. You know, so it was a lot that I was not able to really do just for time's sake, because I'm trying to push the product out the door and meet people's deadlines. So as soon as we made that agreement, and God just started opening up doors, and it's been a blessing. I wouldn't have it any other way. It is.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's one of our heart is to really encourage couples, because that's what we do. We're in business together. Boy, are we. We in deep. But we encourage couples, and we've done some podcasts about how you have to find out each other's strengths and what one person can do to help the other, and vice versa, so that one person isn't overwhelmed. Now, I'm the administrative person, but I'm also a creative, so I have to kind of pull on him when I can, because he's still in 9 to 5 at the moment, but that's going to change because it's about to change. Yes. But we wanted to make sure we had all that together. So we've done podcasts talking about, we don't give advice, legal advice on what company structure, but we do mention the different types of structures. Make sure you have your business bank account. Make sure you have all your paperwork in. And so we try to share that information because we think it's important. If you're going to have a business, have a business. Not just say I got a business and you don't have no EIN number. And if you don't know what that is, who's ever listening, go look that up. Or go look at our YouTube channel, and we did a post on that. But those are simple things to us because you've done it, we've done it. But some people don't even go there, because to me that means you're really serious. If you take the time to do the basic foundation, that means you just can't close up shop tomorrow. Not really. Not that quick, I'm saying. But if you don't have anything holding you, you don't have anything to be accountable to. You agree?
That's right.
And it also, and you would agree with this, 2 is better than 1, right?
Absolutely. I'm so glad I got to see these invoices. I can do it, but that would just stretch you, And
right.
So I make her life easier. She makes my life easier, and it just clicks. You know, it just clicks, and I'm in a good space. I'm good. I'm satisfied, and it's not so much that is a part of the blessing. That's a part of being in that purposeful place,
right?
That God would have you to be in.
Right.
I've been in some places. Obviously, we all have.
We all have.
Yes.
Yeah. When you get in that space where God just, and you kind of let Him do it, it's nothing like it, man. It's nothing like it. So anybody listening, again, I would encourage you to make sure that you are willing to be coachable and let God do it for you. Our works aren't going to count anyway.
That's right.
Let Him do it for you.
Yeah.
Because he honors obedience, and also He honors faith, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely.
And faith is, as we've heard, I guess some people have heard, it's action as well. It's not just only saying, decrees and prayers. That's great. But at some point, you got to put some action. So like just a simple example we just said. If you say, okay, I'm going to start this business, but you don't even do the foundational things to recognize it by the state and the government, then what are we doing? Because then you're going to lock yourself out of anything, whether it's, government contracts or whether it's anything. Right. Nobody's going to, if somebody say, okay, I'll pay you this. Can I send it to this? And you're like, well, I don't have that.
I don't have it set up.
Right. And they like, hold on, wait a minute. What kind of shabby operation is this if you don't have a business bank account? Things that it's just a simple thing to get a business bank account. But that's a whole nother podcast. Again, check out our YouTube channel. Check out our YouTube channel. Check out that podcast. We already did something about that. Couples people in business, even if you're not a couple, but if you need that information, go to our YouTube channel and you can find that out. But yeah, it's like, you want to ask our one bad artist any other information? We're so appreciative of you being here with us.
Yeah, I do want to thank you for sharing, some of your experiences, and then also being able to articulate how seasons shift and how they changes, and then how we must be able to be pliable enough to shift and change and to make those transitional movements, okay, when it's needed and necessary, right? Because a lot of people, as they get older, they get stuck in a mindset, right? And so if you're pliable enough, then you understand and recognize how important it is to be pliable enough that you're able to shift and also to make changes when needed and necessary, as opposed to saying that this is the way I am and I never change. And so being in that type of situation, I'm sure you heard that before. And if you're in the room with someone like that, you just might as well go ahead and excuse yourself, because that's the wrong room.
Right.
Especially if you're trying to progress.
Right. You got to read the room, right?
You got to read the room.
Don't get frustrated something.
Yeah. Being around people who don't understand that you're on this journey, and you trying to explain that. Okay, we need to read the room. We're in the wrong room.
Right. And then it's not necessarily easy to make that transition, okay, at first, because you had to grapple with a lot of things, that you had concluded that this is the way, the truth, and the life that I should be living, right? But now you have to remove those mindsets, and then you have to develop a new mindset, and then you have to look through a different lens and say, well, this is the track that God is leading me now, and I see how things are coming together. Now you're content. You have your wife there that's working with you. You guys are doing it, as a team. And you're doing it, and it's easier now, because you in your space and she flowing in her gift as well, and that's coming together. So you're making a corporation between the two of you based upon the knowledge and the skills that you have learned in past seasons, right?
Yes, right. That's good.
And then now
it's all relative.
Yeah, right.
Because nothing no doors that seemed to be shut, or missed opportunities, or what felt like missed opportunities. None of those things are irrelevant in currently what I'm doing, right? So it's kind of like, all those vegetables that we used to have to try to eat as a child still have a place or an impact on what made us what we are as an adult.
Right.
Right, so I mean, if you were eating junk food and all of that, probably, as an adult, you probably got bad teeth and all kind of craziness. But so everything that we used to do, even though it may not seem like it's related, it's all relative.
Wow. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and that came to me as a writer. One of the things, and everybody's journey is not this, but one of the things I think relates to what you just said, God told me to write a book it's an ebook called The Profitability of Long Suffering. Now, when I heard that, I said, now, how is there any profit in that? But basically what you just said about all the vegetables and you gathering everything you've done, you've learned, the good, the bad, the ugly. That was a type of long suffering, meaning it was over a period of time. And what profit can you gain from the things that didn't work? See?
Right.
So those are teachers. Those are teachable moments, right?
Yes.
And you may not even realize it or even receive it as teachable moments. You receive it as regrets, and why we had to go through this.
Oh my!
And and I should be a lot further than this. And
why didn't they take the picture? I'm using you as an example. Why didn't they keep the picture? Yeah.
Why they didn't?
Yeah.
Why they didn't expose me to their to their clan, so to speak, or to their, you know what I mean. So
my talent broke my heart a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It broke my heart a lot. I mean, the people that and again, it's because maybe outside circumstances may cause us to need a certain thing or feel like we need a certain thing. If finances are tight, and then you have this extreme gift, and then you actually take that and you meet somebody that has an abundance, and you would think it would be a natural marriage. God, well, you gave me the gift, so now I planted this. I met the actual celebrity. They got plenty of money, so now they give me the money. Now I can pay my bills and come out of the hole that I'm in. And God, you just so good. You bless everything, and that's the story that we create.
Yes.
In our head. And God is like, I'm not gonna bless you that way. I ain't got nothing to do with none of that.
Yeah.
That's the story you create.
Been there.
That's.
Because it makes logical sense, but our logic is not God's logic, right?
His ways are higher than our ways, right?
So much higher.
And we take that logic and we put it into a prayer, and then we present it to the Father, and we just waiting on the manifestation any day now. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
But what?
Didn't we find ourselves doing the God thing, trying to get God to move?
Right.
That's what Shattered Dreams was about. I sing in the choir. I pay my tithes. God is like, that's not going to move me. See, again, because you're so overzealous to get out of your situation, instead of trusting me and finding me in your despair, you actually are doing things trying to change the situation, and I'm just trying to show you that that's not going to move my hand.
Snaps.
Yes. In other words, you're trying to abort the process.
Oh my goodness.
And he wants the process to be complete.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what my ebook was about, the profitability of long suffering, because in there I talk about that. It's like you're trying to abort the pain, the hurt. And for some of us, that seasoning, what it talks about, after you have suffered a while, he shall perfect, establish, strengthen, and then settle you.
Right.
Whoa. But you trying to abort the stuff in between before you get to the settle part.
You can't even hear that, right? And someone come and give you a word like that, and you looking upside their head like they have missed the mark, because that is not what I've been praying. No. Right.
That's why people are so stuck on so fixated on diets, right? Is that they don't want to go through. They want the result, but they don't want to go through the process.
Listen.
Right. So they're like, hey, well, I'm gonna take this HCG diet, or I'm gonna do this, and I don't want to work out. I don't want to eat right, but I want to shortcut it. I'll put some hair on. I'll put a girdle around my waist and tighten it up. So
okay, be careful now. Be careful.
But seriously, like you guys were just saying, we try to abort the process, and it's a process to becoming healthy. We go get plastic surgery because we want to look like this, and then how about you get in the gym and work for it? If it's even for you to do. But again, we a lot of our desires are, they infiltrate our inner being based on what we see out there. And God is like, when you get through to doing all of that, once you bang your head enough, like you said, are you done?
Right. Are you ready? Are you ready to listen now and execute? Okay. And then also, I want to say this as well, because you said something very powerful, and I don't want this to slip by the wayside. And it's an inroad, basically, because you said that your gift caused you much pain and much hurt. Oh my God. I felt that. And so that means that you had to go through a season of being healed and being restored, and that you can get, that you can get restoration to get enough strength to continue to move forward, even after this great gift that you feel that, should be leveling you up, and it has not taken place. So now my gift have caused me so much pain. Now talk about that. Now, how were you able to, release it, deal with it, heal from it, and move from it?
Yeah, man, it's been over a 30, 40 year span of running into walls, of not having doors open, or missed opportunity. I've told God so many times, like, I've been like Job's wife, why don't you just curse God and die, and so it's like I've had my knockdowns, drag outs with God, like, well, if this is not gonna help me or profit me anything, why did you give it to me? And it can be so frustrating, and I went through seasons of, okay, well, I'm not drawing celebrities anymore because that didn't work. I'm going to do Christian art. Okay, God, well, obviously you gave me the talent. Maybe you want me to draw pictures of Jesus. So now I went through a season of drawing nothing but Christian art. That didn't necessarily open any doors or shake any feathers. So I'm like, okay, well, now I'm frustrated. Now I'm like, well, I actually ain't going to draw this. I'm not going to do anything. Not that. I'd rather go 9 to 5. And I'm telling them, how frustrating it is to, so we all go through that, or if you don't recognize what season you're in, you can go through that. And it can be extremely frustrating to where I had to learn to trust God again, man. Because like I said, we'll have a tendency to feel like God is the one breaking your heart. And
Preach that sermon.
Like I said, it's like our child. It's like, well, Daddy, can I go to this concert, or can I go over here with my friends? And I tell him no. He gonna feel like Daddy is an ogre, or that Daddy is mean. Daddy is breaking my heart. This is what I want to do, and I want to hang out with my friends, and their parents, and we're just going over here, and it's gonna be innocent fun. And no matter what his motive is, I, as his father, may see something a lot deeper than that. So my no is not just because I'm trying to restrict you from having fun or prospering or doing something that I know you would enjoy. There's a whole lot attached to my no that you're unaware of. But see, as a father, I have to do that. And you're going to feel like Daddy broke your heart, or Daddy let you down, but that's not the case, right? So it's God has taken me through that. And again, it grows you up. It matures you to where it's like, okay, Lord.
If you let it.
Yeah. Or you'll spend a lot of years. Like I said, I hadn't always been in this place. But I'm glad that I'm finally here. And it's like, God, I trust you no matter what.
I don't know what you're
If you just want me to sit in this room and do nothing, I trust you.
Yes. Yes. That's all we have. Right?
Yeah.
And at the end, that's all we have. Those of us that are believers in the faith. So, wow, this has really been good. Some great points that you brought out, even making me think about myself. I don't know about you, because we've definitely been down some of those roads without question, and we're still on the journey. But thank God we're still here.
There you go.
So that's the thing. We're still here, and we're, what do we say? Grateful to still be here. So we're grateful that you joined us on our podcast, Truth for Daily Living. And we want people, now we're going to say this, we want people to flood your website. So Lord, we believe that's okay to say that.
And send you an email. And if they want to get more information, they can email you as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Let me get same as
yes.
info@one.org.
Yes. But we want them to definitely go to your website, because you have some, like I said, some beautiful pieces there, creative pieces there, just so talented. And so we just want to encourage, that's the other part of this podcast, we want to encourage those that come on to highlight their businesses as well, along with ours. And so, again, we want to thank you so much. Again, you can check him out at onebadartist.com, or you can email him if you have any questions. Or now, you not only do paintings, but you have your t-shirt business. Is that correct? Printing business. So make sure you want more information. Go to info@onebadartist.com for Mr. Ronnie Miles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Anything else you want to ask before we release him?
No, perhaps we can do this again. And
absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
And
I look forward to it.
And maybe you can have your wife to join you as well.
Yes.
All right. We can do
with that.
All right. Great.
All right.
And we can talk about other subject matters as well. So we really appreciate you. Thank you for allowing us to spend this time together with you.
Yes, and we appreciate it.
Yes, okay.
It's a blessing, man. I'm praying for you guys all the time, and I will continue to do so. Y'all keep me in your prayers as well.
We will do that.
Okay, sir.
We will talk soon. You have a great night, okay?
Y'all too.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
So that was a great podcast interview, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
and I think it speaks to, again, the volume of people really wanting to should be in a place, we hope, encouraging people to get into a place where you want to discover who you are, what you're supposed to be doing, and if you've already discovered who you are, find out how you can enhance that. And one of those ways comes with, like I said, check out some of our YouTube podcasts that talk about how to build the structure of a business. Again, we're not giving legal advice in those videos, but we also just want to make sure we're giving you some basic ideas about how to get that foundation laid, right? Because you need to do that. If you believe you're supposed to be in business, don't just say you're supposed to be in business, but you don't have a checking account, you don't have EIN and things like that. So make sure you check that out, okay? Also, another thing we want to talk about is we have a cohort, okay? And it is called Marriage Course Recipe for Success. And that's going to be starting soon. So basically, we will admit a certain number of couples that would like to go on a 6-week journey with us.
Yes.
As we talk about different aspects of marriage. Mm-hmm. And this is for married couples. We will be doing something for engaged couples soon, but for married couples, and that's going to be inclusive of some business information that we think will be helpful for you. So make sure you go to marriagecourserecipeforsuccess.com. Like I said, we only admit a certain number, so make sure you go to the website to see when the day starts, and you can go ahead and go and sign up for that, okay? Also, another thing we do, because we have different things we do within our business for enrichmymarriage.com, and we have different activities, enrichment kits, but we have something really dear to our heart that we call, what do we call? Tablescape.
Tablescape Rendezvous.
Yes, Tablescape Rendezvous for two.com. So basically, that's only for our local area here in the area of Georgia area. And we can pop up different things for couples, whether it's your anniversary or just because moment, or you just want to show your spouse, I love you. This is one way we can do it on your back deck, on your back porch, on your back lawn, in the park. And we love this part of the event piece that we think creates another level of intimacy. So make sure you go to Tablescape Rendezvous for two and check out the different themes, because as you can see here, we have different themes that go along with that, okay? So I think that's about all. We want to first of all say thank you for joining us on this podcast. It was great with Mr. Ronnie Miles. Remember again to check out his website, and you can find out more information about him there. Anything else you want to add, babe?
I think that's about it, actually.
That's about it. So, as you know, make sure you check us out on Instagram. YouTube is where you're going to mainly see this podcast, or you can go to our podcast channel, podcaster channel. You can see all that. TikTok with us. Yes. IG with us. All of those. So you can stay abreast of what we are going to be doing. And again, we say thank you for joining us on this podcast. And remember to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel.
And hit that notification button.
Please hit that notification button so you'll be aware of any upcoming podcasts, anything else we're going to be doing. Like we said, we're going to be releasing some this week. So check out that on our YouTube channel. You can always go to any one of those different social media sites and check out our link tree, and it'll take you to all the different areas where we are located and all the books that we have. We have a lot of ebooks. We wrote our own marriage book, Marriage Takes 3. We have a lot of things that we have created for the community. So check us out. And with that being said, I think we're going to end it there until next time. Right? Until next time. So, I'm Charlotte.
And I'm Daryl.
And we are affectionately known as the Bakers. And one day...